Okay, looks like that's working. So we're ready to start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Yeah, there's some echo coming. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandyam Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Saguna Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saguna Lalita Sri Vishakavatam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनकारणं परमानन्दं माधवं नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाभूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिते नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्चादेशतारिणे Hare Krishna, thank you so much for being here today. Today we can start off with any questions that you have on chapter 7, and after that we will go over the group discussions. Also, if you have any questions, I notice a lot of you are in the process of completing your Module 1 exam. Excellent. Happy to see that. But if there's any lingering questions over there that I can help out, I'll be more than happy to do so. Okay, Shri Padma Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My question is in chapter 7, verse 14. It says the living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. So, sometimes I'm noticing in this chapter, inferior nature, matter, is it used interchangeably with inferior energy? That's one. And number two, their illusion is also eternal because the chapter says that no one can trace back from when we got contaminated. Is that why its illusion is eternal? Thank you,
Yes, you're
Prabhu.
right. So when the term eternal is used in our context, it basically refers to as far as we can see. So conditioned jivas like us, we are known as Nityabadhas. So Nityabadhas are eternally conditioned soul. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have been conditioned always, but for the for as far as back as we can see, we have been conditioned. So that's why the term eternal is used. So yes, your understanding is correct.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, any other questions, thoughts?
Prabhuji, do we want to record this?
I did the recording. It's recording on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Let me check. Yeah, it's still recording on YouTube. Do you have another question, Shuparna?
And yeah, the other part was when I keep reading on, it keeps saying inferior nature sometime is it also used interchangeably with inferior energy
It is.
or nature? Yes.
It
Okay,
is.
thank
It
you.
is. It is. So
Thank
they
you.
say that Krishna has three energies. He has the Bhairangi Shakti, which is the inferior energy, the Antarangni Shakti, which is the superior energy, and the Tathastha Shakti, which is us, which is the marginal energy. So as jivas that are under, so we're kind of like, the analogy is we're kind of like standing on the doorstep. We could either go in or go out. That's our choice. So when we take shelter of the external energy, then we become covered by the inferior energy of Krishna. And if we get liberated and we take shelter of Krishna's Yogamaya, internal energy, then we are taking shelter of Krishna's superior energy.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if okay, Chaitanya Ras Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Most of the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about knowledge of the Supreme, right? So this is not the empirical study, like it's not like the mundane study or knowing Krishna through the mundane knowledge, but knowing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mode of service. Am I right? When
That
they say knowledge and knowing Krishna, there are several. Um, can I say that there are several paths of knowing Krishna? But knowledge is given the highest priority. Knowledge about Krishna through scriptural study and through Sadhu Shastras. That is given the highest priority. Is that right statement or?
Yes, it is. So if you may, if you allow me to devolve, kind of decompose your statements into two parts.
Uh-huh.
So so there is so one part that you talk about was really how do we get the knowledge, right? And
Mm,
there the the Shastra Chakshu, the
mm,
Parampara, that all
mm,
is emphasized, right?
mm,
So regardless of what the knowledge is, there is a lot of focus on the right way of getting the knowledge, right? So
mm,
that's where, especially in chapter 4, Tadviti Pranipatena, all those verses are spoken to ensure that we're getting it uh, from the right media. Now, in terms of the knowledge, uh, we can consider it to be broadly at this stage divided into two categories. One is the knowledge that we studied as part of our chapter 4 and 5, which is Atmagyan. That is um, understanding the nature of the self. Right?
mm,
That's the knowledge that Bhagavad Gita initially speaks about, understanding who we are. Then, beginning from 7 chapters, the focus of the knowledge is a little different. While there is understanding of who Krishna is, but really speaking, the focus of the knowledge is in the relationship with Krishna.
mm, mm,
Right. So the focus is in Sambandha Gyan, as not so much. So we don't really even have a term about Krishna Gyan, right? Because
mm,
we don't even aspire for that.
mm,
Now, having said that, there's a lot of information about Krishna given, but they're mostly there in order to establish the concept of relationship. That what is
mm,
our relationship with Krishna? So when Krishna begins to present himself, then if you notice the Bhagavad Gita, it is almost entirely Sambandha Gyan. You will see very few verses that talk about the subsequent stages. So the way Krishna constructs the Bhagavad Gita is in the first 6 chapters, he talks about how we can know ourselves. In the middle 6 chapters, he talks about himself and primarily about what is a relationship with him. In the last 6 chapters, he talks about the obstacles. That what are the obstacles in getting that knowledge, which is essentially Krishna's external energy, and how to dismantle those obstacles. Beginning from the Srimad Bhagavatam, then Krishna takes us to the next stage, which is having understood your relationship with Krishna, what do you do? Right, so that's the focus of the others, like when you also study nectar of instruction, that the focus there is a little bit more on having understood your relationship with Krishna, what are the next steps that you do. So our gyan is not so much about Krishna per se, but about understanding a relationship with Krishna.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Question. Shraddha Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question regarding, like in this chapter, we learned that Krishna is non-different from his energies, and Krishna is everything. You know, these are the concepts that came up in this chapter. So, Prabhuji, it kind of confused me with a little bit of Mayavad philosophy that, you know, that Krishna is everything, and Krishna and his energies are non-different. Prabhuji, can you please explain so that I don't get confused about this?
Thank you, Mataji. Excellent question. And actually, Srila Prabhupada is also very cognizant of the possibility of us getting a little confused with this, because if you notice, in the purpose, Krishna Prabhupada will keep making this point that Krishna is the basis of all this. So Prabhupada would make this distinction between the energy and the energetic. So while there is non-difference between the two, there is also a difference that the energy rests on the energetic, and the energetic is independent of the energy. So we like to say that Krishna has 3 energies, but Krishna has unlimited energies. But they're all resting on Krishna, not the other way around. So that will help us disambiguate that notion, right? And Prabhupada gives analogies also. At one point, he gives the analogy of the king or the president, that everything is happening under the orders of the king. So somebody might say, by the order of the king, these taxes are levied or these rules are followed. The king is nowhere in play. Everything is happening by the order of the king. So somebody might get confused that it's the order of the king that's supreme. But one who is a little bit more understanding will also get that there is actually a person who is establishing that orders that are ultimately carried out. And by the time we reach the 9th chapter, this point will be actually made much more clearly by Krishna himself.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Divya Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. While I was reading on the verse 7.15 and 16, the difference between Sukritina and Duskritina, and I was just wondering from like just trying to connect for my own perspective, what category like do we fall into, or do we even fall into any category? That was my question. Like, and if do we like as individuals, do we change from one category to another while like trying to follow our sadhana, but also being like involved in the materialistic life, like, or just doing the responsibilities?
Thank you. Practical question. Yeah, the same thoughts went through my mind also. We try to place ourselves, and there are 8 varieties that are given. And total, if you look at the whole chapter between that verse and the ending 2 verses, There are 3 more varieties that are given. After the Dushkritina, Sukritina, there are those who worship the demigods, those who are Mayavadis, and finally those who are the Brahmavadis, right? So totally 11 categories are given. So generally, as practicing devotees, we probably fall in the Chaturvida Bhajante Mam, the Sukritinams, because we do have material desires. We are not pure devotees yet. We have aspirations for material gains. The glory is that we turn to Krishna. So from the devotional perspective, there are 2 things that are glorious, which is what Krishna recognizes, that whatever desires that we have, we turn to Krishna. That's the first part. Not the material desires, but the fact that we turn to Krishna. That's the first part. And the second is that we don't get bewildered if those desires are not fulfilled. So the engagement is not transactional in the sense that, we may go to Krishna with a list of 20 things, and Krishna may fulfill 5 out of it. Then it does not weaken our faith, does not mitigate our faith. Prabhupada would say that the way devotees will generally deal with it is that thank you for giving me the 5 things, and I can understand the other 15 things were probably not even good for me, which is why you didn't give. So thank you for that. That also, right? So that mood of the mood of dependence for good and bad, that's what makes us different from the Dushkritinas. Because like I mentioned in the summation, that the desires of the Sukritinas is not much different from the Dushkritinas. Right? There are the Mudas who who are looking for material gains, and then there is the Artharthis, which are also looking for material gains. Right? There is the Maya Partha Jnana, there is the Jigyasur. So very similar motivations. But the primary difference is that the Dushkritanas turn away from Krishna and the Sukritanas turn towards Krishna, but also in a mood that they don't get bewildered if Krishna either fulfills or does not fulfill. They don't get bewildered either way.
Makes sense. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Naval Krishna Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, you had mentioned in the lecture that there was a need for the taste of water, so water came into existence. So I was not able to understand, so the taste existed, but the water did not exist. The taste manifested the water, or is it?
Yes, it's a little bit more abstract topic. It's expanded in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhu, in the 2nd canto, that so when Krishna says I'm the taste of water, essentially he's saying I'm the cause for the existence of water, right? And also he's saying I'm the essence of water. So then it's explained that why did water come into existence? Because Krishna desired to taste water. So from Krishna's desire to taste water, water came into existence. And because water is into existence, we have a desire to taste water. So there are so many other things that do not exist or we do not have a desire for. Right? So we can't see things beyond a certain frequency. We can't hear. They're there, we don't care about. We don't really care about it. But there are some things that we do in terms of what we can see and what we can taste. So the causality of this is ultimately Krishna. Because if Krishna would simply say, I'm the taste of water, then we are minimizing his position. That there is water that existed because the jivas wanted, then Krishna appears as the taste of water. But actually the desires in the jivas are the reflection of the desires in Krishna. And Baldev Vidyabhushan also makes this point. He goes a little deeper into it, more technical. But essentially the point, like I said, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto, 10th chapter, then you'll get a more complete understanding of it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take 2 more questions, and after that we will go to the presentations. Parampara Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So Prabhuji, my question is when Krishna talks about four kind of people that do not surrender to him, like Mudas, Naradamas, Maya, Partha, Jnana, and Asuri Bhavam Asrita in verse 15. On verse 24 and 25 also there is unintelligent man, grossly foolish as defined, and also demigod worshipper is being brought up. So does on these 24 and 25, does it refers to all those four classes that was talked before, or referring to a specific Muras or Maya, Partha, or Asuri Bhavam? Because it does not really differentiate here in the verse 24, 25.
It's a good point, and honestly speaking, I don't have the answer to that. I think your question is, so let's take the example of those who worship the demigods, right? So they come later on in the chapter.
Mhm.
Now, whether the demigod worshippers are Mudas or Mayapartha Gyanas, that point is not made clear, right? So generally in the commentary, these categories mentioned in addition to the four categories. So
Okay.
it's mentioned that these are the four categories. In addition to that, we have these three additional categories, which is the demigod worshippers, the mokshakamis, and the mayavadis, right? So we have these seven categories that do not surrender to Krishna. So it seems to be that they are in a category of their own, but from what you're saying, and I also, kind of agree to that, that they may be overlapped. Like, those who are worshippers of demigods, Krishna does call them Alpamedeshu, right? He calls them with limited intelligence, right? Which is kind of nudging towards the Muda category, people who work hard for little gain. So it could be, but just for the sake of clarity, I think it's easier to understand that these three categories are in addition to the four that are mentioned in 750.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Neil Mani Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dharma. Prabhu, my question is not related to chapter 7. It is related to chapter 2 because I am in the process of taking the exam. If I can ask Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
There's a question is called what is the meaning of the word pragyasya? And the reference is given in chapter 2, verse number 54. And my question is what is the actual meaning of pragyasya? Actually, the question I'm reading is praja, but actually inside the shloka when I read it is pragyasya or pragyasya. The full word is called.
So the question is that what is the meaning of Sthita Pragya?
Sthit is there, but there's a meaning. Next word is pragyasya.
Okay. I'm actually, Prabhu, not able to fully understand because your voice is also a little muffled. But let me try to repeat back and see if I've understood what you're saying. That in 254, the term Sthita Pragyasya is used.
Yes, Prabhu.
And then the question is, what is the meaning of Sthita Pragya?
What is the meaning of pragyasya? Not sthit. The question is what is the meaning of the word pragyasya?
What is the meaning of the word Pragasya? Okay.
Yes.
Don't know, Prabhu, off the top of my head. I can look into it and maybe I can post it in the WhatsApp once
Okay.
I.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Please, that's my humble.
Okay, so we can start with the presentations, group 1, whenever you're ready.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare
Is
Krishna, Prabhu.
I think we're
Prabhu
doing-
said we'll
yeah.
start with group 6.
We'll start with group 6. That's the plan?
That's what Prabhu said.
Okay.
That's the
Yes,
order.
Prabhu, we are group 6 actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. The topic for our group discussion this week is who is Krishna and importance of knowing him. The scene begins with three friends meeting over lunch. Sakshi is a practicing devotee of Krishna. Poonam is a practicing Hindu. Carol is a practicing Christian. The discussion begins when friends notice Sachi's Tulsi neck beads with pendant saying Hare Krishna. Hi Sachi, I love your necklace. My grandma used to wear something like that. Do you worship Krishna? I'm also a Hindu, so I worship different gods like Lord Shiva on Monday, Hanuman on Tuesday, Ganesh on Wednesday, Sai Baba on Thursday, Santoshima on Friday, yeah, and even Saturday and Sundays. I worship Krishna during the festivals like on the day of Janmashtami. And what do you think, Carol? Wow, so many gods. Bible says there is only one God. Why is Krishna so special to you, Sachi?
Do you guys know Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita means Song of God because it is spoken by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself.
Yeah, I have seen people taking oath of Bhagavad Gita, but I never had a chance to read it. What do you mean by Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It means, as original Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna is the origin of all avatars and source of all demigods. Demigods like Shiva, Ganesha, Sun God get their powers from the Supreme Lord Krishna. They are never independent of Krishna. That is why Sanatan Dharma is polymorphic but monotheistic.
Really? We never knew this. Could you explain more on why is Krishna special? How he is Supreme Personality of Godhead?
It is an excellent question. In Sanskrit, it is called Athato Brahma Jigyasa. As humans, this is our chance to inquire who is God, who is Krishna, and what an importance of knowing Krishna. This knowledge is the king of education. It is the purest and the most confidential. It is the perfection of religion.
Sorry to interrupt, Mataji, sir. We are not able to see the slides moving. I don't know if you intend to keep the
Yes,
first slide.
we'll move soon, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, who knows the best about you? Is it you yourself, or those who love you, or those who are envious of you?
Of course, it's me and my loved ones. Surely not those who envy me.
Similarly, to know Krishna, we should learn from the following sources. Krishna himself. No one can be greater authority than Krishna himself. Second, his pure devotees. Third, the revealed scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered literally incarnation of Krishna. And lastly, from our personal realizations by practicing devotional service to Krishna. Let's see what Bhagavad Gita has to say about Krishna. I will also share a few slides from my Bhagavad Gita class. Bhagavad Gita 7.7, Krishna says, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Krishna discloses in Bhagavad Gita that he is the supreme personality of Godhead, supersoul within everyone's heart, the origin of all spiritual and material worlds, the source of all demigods, seed-giving father of all, the most well-wishing friend of everyone. He is the eternal time. He is the original person, master of senses, the Adi Guru, original proprietor. He is unborn and infallible. In Bhagavad Gita 7.8 to 10, Krishna gives examples of his forms that can be perceived by our senses. Krishna says, I am the taste of water, the light of sun and moon, the syllable Om in Vedic mantras, the sound of ether and ability in man. I am the original fragrance of earth, the heat and fire, the life of all lives, the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of intelligent, and the power of all powerful men. So, in essence, Krishna is everything, the whole creation, which is made from the superior and inferior energies of the Lord. Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the five gross elements of physical body, mind, intelligence, and false ego, the three elements of subtle body, all together constitute my separated material energy, or Maya Shakti. Besides these, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises of living entities or Jiva Shakti. There is no difference between the energy and the energetic Lord, just like a person and his talents are non-different. However, the energies are not independent of Krishna. Krishna is the source and master of all his energies. Now let's learn about Krishna from his pure devotees. who simply repeat what Krishna has already spoken without mental concoction. The pure devotees of the Lord knows Krishna supremacy over his energies. The pure devotee of the Lord also knows that Krishna is non-different from his name and his deity form. In Kali Yuga, we can easily approach and serve the Lord in these two forms. The pure devotees also know the Lord by his most intimate and loving names like Shamasundara, Nandanandana, Yashodanandana, Bhaktavatsala, Deenadayala, Radharaman, and Radhakanta. Hope you understand who is Krishna a bit now, Carol.
Yes, and in Bible, Romans 10:13 also says that those who call upon names of the Lord will be saved.
So true. Thank you for sharing this verse from Bible. So we see that when one learns about Krishna, they want to surrender to Krishna. They want to worship, glorify, and love Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that by knowing me, one becomes peaceful, finds refuge in me, surrenders unto me, worships me, engages in my devotional service, conquers me with love, revives their forgotten relationship with me, and receives my mercy and protection. Therefore, by hearing with faith and respect, one receives the greatest opportunity to become perfectly Krishna conscious person. By faithfully hearing from pure devotees, our desires get purified and we want to give our life to Krishna. We see how Srila Prabhupada's disciples gave their lives to Krishna for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. Pure devotees, by his own example, teaches the science of devotional service of the Lord. The pastimes, qualities, and descriptions of the Lord from revealed scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, and by practice of bhakti, one can easily cleanse the heart of all anarthas, increase their remembrance of Krishna, and awaken the dormant love for Krishna, which lies within the heart of everyone. By engaging our mind, body, and words in devotional service of the Lord, we live a life of Krishna consciousness. Because knowing Krishna means loving Krishna. Loving Krishna means serving Krishna. Serving Krishna means evoking mercy of Krishna. Mercy of Krishna allows us to go back to Krishna. Going back to Krishna means eternal life of knowledge and bliss in Krishna's personal association and service. This is the aim of all religions. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very comprehensive. Group 5.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Naval Krishna Prabhu, you can move the class slide. Our topic for the presentation is experiencing Krishna in our daily life. This discussion is actually between a neophyte devotee whose name is Anuj Prabhu and experienced devotee Shekhar Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dharma Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm seeing you after a long time in the temple. Is everything all right?
Yes, Prabhu, everything's okay. Just a little busy with my occupation duties, so I'm not able to attend the programs these days.
I see. It's all about striking the balance, Prabhu. Let's see if I can clarify your doubts.
Yeah, Prabhu, I would be very grateful. Prabhu, actually, I am running into contradictions after reading chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that everything rests upon me, and how can everything rest upon a person? Doesn't it support the notion that God is impersonal? I was reading the purport, And it clearly says in Sastri Upanishad 3.10, Tato yat uttarattaram tat anupam. Arupam clearly means no form.
It is good, Prabhu, that you are reading Srila Prabhupada's purports. Srila Prabhupada explains that Arupam means no material form. It does not mean formless. The Brahma Samhita also says Ishvara Param Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. The Shvetar Upanishad also says Vedaham Etam Purusham Mahantam, which translates to there is no truth superior to that supreme person because he is the supermost.
Next slide. Okay, Prabhu, I get that. But in the next verse, Krishna says, I'm the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, and the sound in the ether and ability in man. How can a person be all the above and still be a person?
Exactly, Prabhu. That's why we have the purports and the explanation by the acharyas. The Lord is all pervasive by his material and spiritual energies. A very good analogy is the sunshine. The sun is present in a particular location, and the demigod in the sun is also a person. He is perceived by the sunshine, although he is present in the sun planet. Similarly, we can perceive the Lord by his energies, although he is present somewhere else.
Wow, Prabhu, that very much clarifies a lot of my doubt.
Prabhu, practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established his sublime doctrine, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. As an example, the impersonalist will perceive the presence of the Lord in water by its taste, and the personalist will also glorify the Lord for his supplying that water. The light of the sun and the moon is also emanating from his Brahma Jyoti. The Omkara, which is a transcendental sound, also addresses the Supreme Lord. So wherever you see, you should perceive Krishna. In fact, Srila Prabhupada used to say that if while drinking water, one can remember Krishna, as a taste of water, he is Krishna conscious. That is what Krishna consciousness is, Prabhu. Being conscious of Krishna in everything we do and seeing Krishna everywhere. Also, a slight more, if we go deep, then the subtle is the cause of the gross. So, because there was a need to experience the taste of water, the water came into existence by Krishna's desire. Similarly, because fragrance of the earth existed, so the earth manifests itself. Similarly, because there is a jiva, there is a subtle body. And because there is a subtle body, there is a gross body.
Prabhu, I can perceive the larger picture now. I can now get a feel of what Krishna means when he says, I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lies, and I am the penances of all extremes.
Very nice, Prabhu. Good understanding. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor which permeates everything is Krishna. You must have smelled the aroma of earth when it rains after a long time. That original aroma is Krishna. The fire in the belly that helps in the digestion of the food is Krishna. The sex life which is not contrary to religious principles is Krishna. The modes of the nature is manifested by his energy, but he is above the modes.
Prabhu, after hearing all this, I can easily say that our existence depends on Krishna. Who would be so stone-hearted? Who would not have gratitude for such a loving father? But Prabhu, how sex life, Krishna? I thought sex life is and spirituality go ill together.
Beautiful thought, Prabhu. This list that Krishna says is not even exhaustive. He is all this and much more. So we must develop gratitude after hearing all this. And regarding sex life, the impersonalists and the voidists will dismiss the notion of sex because, but the devotees do not. Because Krishna says that he is sex life, which is dharma aviruddha. Sex life in the institution of marriage and to produce Krishna conscious children is Krishna. He is the seed of everything. To sum it all up, I'll quote the Katha Upanishad. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidharati Kamam. He is the prime eternal among all eternals. He alone is maintaining all life. And he is Nirguna. He is above the modes of material nature. So every day when we wake up, we should contemplate on the fact that everything is Krishna. This way we will develop gratitude and love for him.
I am inspired, Prabhu. Certainly, I will try to see Krishna's hand in everything and how he is so kind to us jivas who have rebelled against him. Just one last doubt. What is the source of sex life which is contrary to religious principle? Since everything comes from Krishna, so even negative things should emanate from him.
Very nice question, Prabhu. So the balam or the strength and the buddhi or the intelligence is provided by Krishna, but the misuse of the free will is by the jiva. So one cannot argue that the things that are contrary to the religious principles originate from him. I am happy that you are clarifying your doubts and developing gratitude towards the Lord and his devotees. Nice meeting you, Prabhu. Stay in touch. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Nice discussion. Group 4.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Salva Sri Prabhupada and good day. Group 4 presentation. Topic is Bhakti Yoga. Is it simple or rare or both? The word bhakti means to devote and surrender oneself by service, meditation, and prayer. Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion and the cultivation of unconditional spiritual love. Narrator, me, Sardar Radhika Devidasi, and devotee 1, Shivaji Prabhuji, a curious student who is seeking spiritual understanding. Senior devotee Krishna Pramodini Mataji, devotee spiritual guide representing the teachings of the Bhakti Bhagavad Gita. Devotee 2, Nilima Mataji, a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga who shares their personal experience.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have been pondering over the teaching of the Gita. You speak of Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion as the most exalted path. But I wonder, is Bhakti Yoga simple or rare? Can anyone practice it, or is it reserved for a few?
That is a profound question, Prabhuji. Bhakti Yoga is indeed a unique path. It is simple in its practice, but rare in its attainment. Let us explore this further with our senior devotee. Hare Krishna Mataji, please enlighten us on the nature of Bhakti Yoga. Is it simple, rare, or both?
Hare Krishna, it is very nice question. Bhakti Yoga is both simple and rare. It is simple because it is requires only sincere devotion and love for the Supreme. There are no complex rituals or difficult practice. Even a child can sing the names of God and feel His presence.
It is so simple, Mataji. Why do you say it is rare?
That is very nice, rarely lies, Prabhu. While the practice of bhakti is simple and true, but unwavering devotion is rare. Many are entangled in the desires of the material world and find it difficult to surrender fully to the divine. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Krishna has said that among thousands of men, one may strive for perfection. And among those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me too in truth.
Yes, Mataji, I am considering myself as a simple practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, and I can attest to both its simplicity and rarity. Every day, I chant the holy names and try to offer my actions to Krishna. The practice itself is easy, but maintaining pure devotion amidst life's distractions is a challenge. I feel Bhakti Yoga is very rare because the mass of people know that God is great, but they do not know how great God actually is. That we will find in the Vedic literature. That is our duty in this iron age. That is Hari Kirtana, Parama Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana, glorification of the Supreme. Bhakti Yoga or the path of devotion is one of the central themes of the Bhagavad Gita. Although it is considered accessible to everyone, it is often described as uncommon and rare in its purest form. This rarity is due to various practical obstacles that prevent individuals from fully embracing and maintaining a path of pure devotion.
Obstacles in the path of bhakti: attachment to material pleasures, ego and false identification, influence of the modes of nature, gunas, lack of faith and steadiness, and desire for liberation or material rewards, misinterpretation of scriptures and false gurus.
So Bhakti Yoga is simple in that it is accessible to all, regardless of caste, greed, or status. Yet it is rare because pure, selfless devotion is difficult to maintain.
Yes, Prabhuji, the essence of Bhakti Yoga is love and surrender. When one loves purely without expecting anything in return, that is the pinnacle of bhakti. This level of devotion is rare but attainable through sincere practice.
And remember, Prabhu, the path of bhakti is not about attaining perfection immediately. It is a journey. Every step taken with devotion is a step closer to the divine.
I agree, Mataji. It is said that even a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
Well said, Prabhu. Bhakti Yoga in its can be practiced by anyone, anywhere. But it is rare because it requires the heart's total surrender from free from ego and selfish desires.
I understand now, Mataji. Bhakti Yoga is simple in practice, but rare in its purest form. It is both accessible and precious, a gift that grows with devotion.
Exactly, Prabhu. Remember, with a sincere heart, even the simplest act of devotion is dear to Krishna. That is beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Let us sing the glories of the divine. For the singing, we practice bhakti. And in practicing, we come closer to understand its simple and rare nature. We can all chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very nicely thought and laid out. Wanted to make one additional point in terms of rarity of bhakti, is the fact that bhakti requires surrender. And that's a bit of a challenge because the mood of devotion is service. And the majority of us are in the mood of wanting to take service. Sometimes we have this very practical also encounter that people, when they come from the more impersonal conception, where the focus is that you will become God, and here the focus is the opposite, that you will never become God. The best is you can become God's servant, and that puts a little bit strain in people's at least material conception. Okay, let's move on to the next. This is number 3, correct?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. All Krishna Srila Prabhupada. So my apologies that my partner was not able to join because of some reasons. So I'll just present this as a presentation rather than a skit. My apologies for that. So the group am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our group topic was say yes to Krishna. So up till until the 7:15, Krishna talks about what are the different kinds of people who approach Krishna, like people approaching demigods and so on and so forth. And from 7:16 onwards, Krishna talks about who are the people who say yes to Krishna and why do they say yes to Krishna. So okay, it's not moving somehow. Okay, let me. So Krishna says there are four kinds of people who reach out to Krishna, and there are a couple of reasons why they reach out to Krishna. So the first kind of people is people who are in distress. So one of the very good examples is Gajendra when he enters into the water, and the Huhu, the Gandharva who was in the form of a crocodile, catches the feet of Gajendra, and he fights to his last breath. And then all of a sudden he remembers, and then he reaches out to Krishna for help. And that's when Krishna comes and gives liberation to both. At that then Gajendra realizes that um, he's Krishna is the supreme, and what his relationship is with Krishna. So that's a very good example that in distress people reach out to Krishna. And the second kind of people is people who are in need or a want of wealth. So one of the very good examples that we have from scriptures is Dhruva Maharaj. So after Suniti says, we all know the story, so I'm not going to repeat that. But after Suniti says that advises him to go to the forest and um, do penance to see Vishnu, so that he can get the wealth more than his great grandfather, which is Lord Brahma. So though Dhruv Maharaj started his intentions to acquire the wealth, but the moment he saw Vishnu, he turned out and said, I don't need anything, I just need your devotional service. So he became a devotee at the end. So that is another kind of people who reach out to Vishnu or Krishna. And the third category of people are the people who are curious. It's as people say, curiosity kills the cat. So they in this case, Parikshit Maharaj was very inquisitive, very submissive in getting to hear from Shukdev Goswami, and that's a very good example as to how people are inquisitive about who's the supreme personality and know more about him. Sorry, somebody had a question? Okay, so that's the example. That's the third category of people who reach out to Krishna. And the fourth category of people are the ones who seek knowledge. So the four Kumaras is the best example over here, where they reached where they were seeking knowledge, and when they had the personal um, association of the Lord Vishnu, that's when they realized and they got converted into devotees.
It's really close to that.
Sorry? Did somebody had a question? Okay, so that's where Krishna says in the purport Prabhupada describes, where Krishna says, though all these people reach out to Krishna for various ulterior motives, at the end, based on when they come in contact with the pure devotees, they become devotees themselves. And Krishna also says that all the when the pure devotee or when these people out of the four orders, when one who seeks the knowledge of the absolute truth is the best, and out of these, the one who understands the relationship with the Lord and performs devotional service with the guidance of the uh, guru is the one is the best devotee. So that's that's what Krishna mentions in the purport. And then it comes to the characteristics of bhakti. So now we have heard what is the four kinds of people who reach out to uh, Krishna. Now we can see what's the characteristics of bhakti that will um, help people in understanding the relationship, number one, and second, how do we approach Krishna. So the characteristics are being very enthusiastic, so always thinking of how can I serve devotees, how can I serve um, um, Krishna, how can I serve the temple. So that kind of enthusiasm is very much needed as one of the characteristics. And then endeavoring with confidence. So a devotee who is inclined, who is wanting to serve, he will never be afraid of anything. He'll be with confidence, he'll be fearless, and he will be ready to go on and do the service. The best example probably I can take in my own life is I've been always very introvert, wouldn't talk to people or anything. But when it comes to the book distribution, I get the confidence. I think it's Krishna's mercy, the Guru and Krishna's mercy, that I'm able to talk to people and also explain them and then motivate people to chant as well. So that's a very good example that I can take. And then the third characteristic is the being very patient. Many a times when we do harinams in the on the streets, a lot of people think that we are beggars, and people won't even look at you when you're taking the name of the holy name, taking the holy names. But then you have to be patient. Sometime or the other, you will find people listening to you. People come to you and talk to you about the holy name. The fourth characteristic is acting according to the regulative principles, which is the four regulative principles, and also the 9 devotional services, which is the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, um, Pada Sevanam, and so on. That's very important characteristics for being Krishna conscious. And then the fifth one, which is the most important, is the abandoning the association of non-devotees. And the sixth one is following in the footsteps of our previous acharyas. So our acharyas, we have had so many inspiring books that have been written, and also they have shown by example as to how we can lead our life. The best example is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a magistrate and who had so many kids, but still he has written so many books and so many songs, and such nice teachings that they have provided us. So we should consider ourselves very fortunate to be in this line of disciplic succession and progress further using these um, amazing texts and amazing songs. And what happens with all these characteristics being followed? The Lord reciprocates. So every endeavor that we do, we can see that Lord reciprocates. And sometimes it might feel that we are not getting the results that we are looking for when we are doing chanting or when we are doing harinams or when we are doing book distribution. But you have to remember that there is some learning there, but for sure, Krishna always reciprocates. So following regulative principles under the able guidance of spiritual master, you attain the abode of Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I think we're a little over time. So we have two groups left, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll do the two groups the next week, and so there's no group presentation next week. I'll do the summation on chapter 8. I have yet to upload my lecture, so I should be doing that in the next few days. And then
Next Wednesday there is. Yeah, sorry, it's Radha Ashtami.
Next Wednesday, Radha Ashtami. Okay. So we'll meet the Wednesday following that, the next Wednesday there, right? So we'll resume with the two remaining groups. I'll also upload the lectures, and I'll do a summation on the chapter 8. And the week after that, we will do the group presentation on chapter 8. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhesha.
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः।
अनंत वैष्णववृंद की जय।
जय
प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय
गौर प्रेमानंद।
हरे 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 बोल।
हरि हरि बोल।
हरे प्रभु की जय। हरे कृष्ण
हरे
कृष्ण कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण। Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everyone.